Introduce yourself.
My name is Cutes OG. I felt like, sharing some true history about my childhood and the childhood of others, but mainly, how my gang started, which was the Magnificent Seven.
kevmacvideos, this is for sure. kevmacvideos, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby. kevmacvideos, this is for sure. kevmacvideos, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby. For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole.
And it basically consists of my brother Big Mouse, OG Rusty Machine Gun, my little brother Lucky. A great number of my brothers were A-Tray gangsters, which is the choice that they made. I wasn't an A-Tray gangster. I was always a Magnificent Seven, West Side Crip. And the other members were Gary Lane and Barney Five, which was Mad Dog Erskine's first cousin. We had Hoover Clarence, Hoover Emerson. Hoover Clarence was the leader of the Leaders, a gang that had started in the 70s, and he became a Magnificent Seven when I joined the Leaders up with the Magnificent Seven. Some came and some went back to being an Inglewood family, and that's how that went. The reason the Magnificent Seven started, it was funny because Mouse and Tookie had got in a little fight early before things got to the point to where there's going to be a set called the Crips, and so we were kind of mad at Stanley. So we knew that he was a Al Capone, so we started our own little gang with our family. We knew my uncle was coming home, Big Al, from the joint, so Al didn't like that Stanley had fought Mouse, so we were like planning on, having a big fight with the Al Capones, and so we were trying to get armed. So I heard this gunshot in the alley, so me and Rusty walked over there, and this dude, he come out there and he said, "Hey, what's up?" And this guy ended up turning out to be Gary Lane, and so I told Gary Lane that I heard a gunshot, and he said, "Oh, you did?" So 2 or 3 days later, Gary, he showed me the shotgun. And I said, "Let me have it." And he said, "I'm not giving it to you, I'll sell it to you. And what do you want it for?" I said, "Well, I'm building a gang up, and we need at least one gun in the gang." So Gary wants to know, the name of my gang and who's our, who's our rival. So I tell him Stanley, and I tell him he's Al Capone, and then Gary starts laughing. He says, "You little motherfuckers better go home," and so I look at Gary and I said, "See, he's one of them Al Capone dudes too. I knew it." And then Rusty said, "Well," I said, "you shouldn't have told me to even talk to that dude about anything, man." So there 2 went by, we run into Gary again. He tell us to come over by his yard. So we ain't scared. I'm with my brother, we'll fight anybody. So I go over there, I'm ready to fight Gary Lane. I know he gonna whip my ass at this time. So I just ready to fight him. So I said, "Well, fight the big dude, you go help." So Rusty said, "Okay." I said, "I'm gonna steal on him, and then you just be on him." And then, so Rusty right there with me. So Gary says, "I'm gonna show y'all something." So he go in and get this sawed-off 12 gauge. And I'm like amazed by it. So I said, "Let me hold it." So Gary gives it to me. He says, "You know how to open it?" I says, "Not really." He says, "This is how you crank it." Boom, he opens it up. A shell spits out and hit me in the chest. I go, "Oh, fuck." Like that. And then, to make a long story short, Gary gives me the gun for a few bucks. And now my gang got a gun, but my gang doesn't have a name. So Mouse gives us a name, and he says, "Okay, we're going to be called the Magnificent Seven." I said, "But it ain't 7 of us yet." And he says, "But it will be." So we start recruiting people. So we got Barney Five, who was Erskine Jones's first cousin. Then we've got Gary Lane. That was what was crazy. Gary Lane, he said, "I want to be a Magnificent Seven." So he came over. Then we got Chucky Madison, which was my first cousin, Todd Madison. We got Little Lucky, who was too little to bang, but he wanted to be one. So he went snitch on us to my mom about stuff that was going on. I told him he was one too.
Yeah.
So just to keep him quiet, I satisfied him. But and then we got Clarence Emerson, Clarence Emerson and Clarence Hoover. And we got T-Bone, we Raymond Potts and them. They were all Dinker Crips.
Yeah.
And T-Bone, he was basically a Dinker Crip too. So we would fight them, just fist fights with them. And so they said, hey, Cutes, won't you come on over here and represent us? I said, well, who is Shotgun QT? I'm tired of seeing his name written on all of these walls around here. I'm the one with a shotgun. How is he getting this name? I don't even know who this motherfucker is. And they said, yes, you do. It's you. And I said, well, who gave me that name? And then they said, Raymond Potts. He just named you. So that's your name. I said, oh, that's a cool-ass name. I said, I like that name. So they said, okay, we want you to, be the leader of the Dinker Crips. And don't confuse our Dinker Crips with the 30 Dinker Crips. It's not the same Dinker Crips. We were on Dinker. They live on Dinker further down in the 30s. We down here in the 60s. So Tookie tells me after all of this fighting with him and Miles, we all became friends again. And Tookie's told me to start the Crips, keep them going, not start them, but to keep it going, up at Harshman. Because all of them had way since passed and left Harshman. Pookie and them were gone. The leader of the Baby Crips, Keith Henderson, Keith Henderson, and they were gone, and they were out of there. So now I'm there. So I recruit Rayford, who later became the leader of the ETG, or one of the founders of the ETG. I recruited Big Rick. I recruited Bad News. And Bad News knew that I wasn't going to have any bishops over on the west side. I don't care if they were down there on Van Ness. I told them that's got to go. So I told T-Bone, I recruited T-Bone, and Raymond Potts recruited T-Bone. T-Bone had just came home from camp, and T-Bone had squabble. So T-Bone told me, he said, well, who do I need to fight? I said, well, I'm going to send you over here to fight this dude named Lucky. And if he don't stop being one of these Bishop dudes, then you're going to fight him. And I already talked to my cousin Space Ghost from the Bishops, and I told him, why is he trying to start a set down in my neighborhood? And Space Ghost said, oh, you tripping, man, we blood and this and that. I said, yeah, man, but we down here with Cripsor and you up there on, Florence over there by the tower and shit. That's Bishophood way over there. You guys ain't going to be coming down here, man, So to make a long story short, they succumbed to the pressure that the Dinkers put on them, and they became Dinker Crips too. So
let me get this right. Tookie asked you to start the Horseman Crips?
Yeah.
Space Ghost from East Side Bishops is your blood cousin.
Yeah, his father and my father are blood first cousins.
And it was West Side Bishops in the hood.
Yeah.
What year are we talking about?
Oh, we're definitely talking about 1973. We're definitely in 1973. So Odie wasn't even in the hood. Odie had left town the same time that the leader of the chain gang had to leave town. They both left town together because his family and Odie's family was real tight. So Odie's mama didn't want Odie to get caught up in what had happened. One of the first West Side Crips had got killed, talking on the phone in the telephone booth. So shit was about to hit the fan, with Inglewood and over there where I lived at, over that. And so Larry Lilly, he left town. And it's an ironic thing, he had came back years later, and I stepped in front of a gun and saved his life. And if he's still living to this day, he would say, man, Cutes, thank you. But if he ain't living, it's okay, it's all good. But I did that for Larry because it's like Donald Archie said, the real recognizes the real. So the history between the A-Tray gangsters in the rolling 60s, it comes from the fact that we were all Harshman Crips. Before there was 60s, before there was an A-Tray, we were all Harshman Crips. And what did we do? We would walk up to Crenshaw and we would fight Donna Ray and them Swig was a little older than us, but he would get the little homies to fight against us, which was cool, and I have mad respect for Swig. He rested in peace. I knew his brother Connie too, and Connie was a good fighter as well. And so we all grew up fighting each other. Donna Ray and Took was best friends because they were like Capones. They went to Horseman together, but Donna Ray, we all know, was one of the founders in the Van Ness gang of his little neighborhood off of Wilton. I won't say he was the founder of the Van Ness Boys, because we all know the founder of the Van Ness Boys was Sailor Boy, which was Swig's big brother. And Swig told me that when in the county jail in '79. So we want to, put credit where credit's due. So the ironic thing about the Dinker Crips is that I kept getting high. I kept getting in a lot of shit. So one night, Odia came back from his isolation because things had cooled out for him. So they voted me out. They said, okay, we're going to vote Cutes out because he's getting us in a bunch of shit and this and that, and he's getting high and he's tripping, and he fights all the homies and does different shit that we don't know about. And so they voted me out one night in Inglewood when they voted me out. And I was sad about it, but I told them I was going to go home, and being that Perry is my cousin, Perry Manuel's my cousin, I didn't have no lasting hard feelings. So I said, well, I'm going to go back home to the Magnificent Seven. So Mouth said, why you coming back here? You was over there with your Dinker boys. Why you coming back over in this? And I said, because I ain't never left this. We sleep up under the same roof, dude. What is you talking about? He says, well, why them dudes trip on you then? I said, oh, man, it ain't nothing, man. I said, I'm still down with them. I said, but, that's just how the cookie rolls.
Have you got a chance to check out any of my videos?
Man, I used to watch your videos, and I would see reputables, go up there and talk, Man, I really like the Baba Louie. Man, I love Baba Louie, man. We were in juvenile hall together. He was in the big kid unit, G&H, over there with Tookie and James Miller and all them. They'd be over there fighting and shit. Baba Louie wasn't no buster. He would fight. And then I seen him up at the long table. They all rolled in. We invited them down there to try to make them buy into the peace treaty. I met Bartender that night. I already knew Putin. And, I knew, a lot of those guys, man, they were just as down as we were, and it just depends on which side of the track you were on when we pulled up on each other, would get the ace that day. But we basically would just fight each other, man. That shooting and that killing shit, it would be far in between, but when it would happen, it would just like send a fear through that community and make more people want to do it. I mean, they shot Took and everything, but they didn't kill him. One of theirs got killed. So the hate is just gonna be getting more hate. And you guys don't even know what you're fighting for. You just out there fighting now.
Fighting old wars.
Yeah, you just hating each other because he wears red, he wears blue, he wears green, he wears yellow. All that shit don't make no sense, man. At the end of the day, you're gonna be scared to go out of your house. You'll be like, oh man, I can't go over here. And you know something about gangbanging? Our mamas and dads don't care, because they'll ride your ass in any neighborhood. And you be in that car trying to squat down and duck down, and your mama look over at you and say, what the fuck are you doing? Sit up in the seat and act like you got some goddamn sense. And you gonna be like, oh, I'm over here in this neighborhood, and my mama don't need to know, but why she driving over here? And then, man, when you doing all that shit, man, you get your mama shot up. You can get all kind of shit happen, man, because that's the way you guys roll it.
Yeah, that's really tough.
So you guys need to just, on a positive note, and it doesn't make you a buster, to go up to another guy and face him like a man. Have a conflict with him, an argument, or a head-up fight. What happened to a good old head-up squabble? And you guys act like you got squabble because every time I see you, you doing fast stuff. You playing basketball, you running races, you catching footballs. You got the athleticism to be squabblers. So I don't understand why you guys want squabble. You know, and all the shooting, if an OG whips your ass, and then you go come back and shoot the OG, that's crazy. If an OG beat my ass when I was a little kid, I would be like, oh well, you know, I learned from it. But now you guys got this thing, if someone whips your ass, then you want to kill them. You know, and that's crazy. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make you a man. Then when you go to the joint, you're going to start taking medication. You're going to be on medication because now you're afraid because you don't have your gun, you don't have your homeboys behind me. Like I told you, you got to learn that hand-to-hand combat to survive in there. And if you don't got the skills for hand-to-hand combat and how to disarm a person, take a weapon from a person, how to take a knife stabbing and not panic out and bleed out, if you don't know how to tape yourself up, you don't know how to do these things, you get in there, man, you're just going to be, man, somebody's bitch. You're going to get in there and you're going to be a victim, man. And then you thought you had a name on the street.